So did you find you were actually able to glean technical information from those talks? Like the environment was conducive to that? Because I struggle at conferences sometimes. I feel like I get stuff from the actual talks themselves.
No, I think it was more, so as far as like gleaning, I would say it's more about the way that I have looked at, so my background in social work, right? Like I've not been to a lot of tech conferences. Like Editions.dev
What?
last year was my first. Okay. So I have not been to a lot of these tech conferences. I'm blown away by these things. I think they're
So you
awesome.
weren't there in
Like,
2019 then?
so
Because sometimes I think you might have been.
oh, see, good
No,
job. Nice,
sure.
nice
Yeah.
bringing that in. So did you mark that one too?
Oh, hey everyone! Welcome back to another exciting edition of the Liquid Weekly Podcast. I'm your host, Karl Meisterheim, and with me, as always, is the esteemed, weighed down with swag, Taylor Page. Taylor,
Karl,
how are you today?
I'm doing good, bud. It's nice that it's actually not been that long since we've actually seen each other in person.
In person, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You got a lot going on here today.
Oh yeah, yeah. There's a lot of discussion about if this needs to be 6 episodes or just one mega episode. Like that's so. I think we're just gonna crank it out. We'll gloss
I just
over
feel like
some
you've got
stuff, get into some stuff.
a lot of accessories, and I wonder, like, are you trying to compensate for something with
I'm
the
100% trying to compensate for something.
that crushing weight of ineptitude? Yeah, I get that too sometimes.
No,
See it more in other people though.
It's after Editions. Where's your swag?
I didn't think ahead.
You didn't,
It's over
didn't
here.
Even, yeah, it's over there
Oh,
somewhere.
look,
I wore all the swag stuff.
I got a bookmark.
It's
from
still
Picard.
in. It's still in. From Lokendra.
Oh, I'm not gonna open it.
Lokendra gave you that.
Oh, Lokendra. Sorry.
You even got the cool tiger one.
This is a collector's item. I'm not gonna open it. This is great. Thank you, Lokendra. And then I got my T-shirt. I think. Yeah.
Yeah, you got a T-shirt. That one from
Foxel.
Picard.
Thank you, Picard. And the socks. The socks have been great from Picard as well, and lots of other good things.
Oh, dude, my wife saw those socks and immediately honed in on them and was like, "Hey, can I have those?" And I was like, "Oh, yes."
I've seen my wife's socks. I kind of wish she would take mine.
Is she one of the people that is like me and waits until there's nothing left on them?
Yeah, I think as long as you technically have your foot in it, regardless of how much of it is remaining, it counts as a sock. And I'm like,
that's the rules that I play by. My wife throws away some of my stuff when I'm not looking, kind of type thing, because I'll just wear it until it's super embarrassing for her and me, and it takes a lot longer for it to be embarrassing for me. So
yeah. Well, you're middle aged. It's fine.
Well, I also got. I'm gonna say I don't know. Let's say I got a T-shirt from Helium. There were also some other T-shirts that were handed out at the Epic party that you were not at, hosted by Judge.me and Zapiet. I don't know if I'm saying that right ever, so I really.
Did you
apologize
really
to
go
those
to the
folks.
party if you can't pronounce the sponsor's name? I'm just saying.
I mean, I definitely did go. There are pictures, Karl. Okay, and so you were not.
I have
there.
ChatGPT too. Okay, so pictures mean nothing today.
I have ChatGPT. Yeah, nothing's real anymore. You don't know. That's no longer proof, right?
That's right.
But they did give away these cute little I don't know, dragon or dinosaur things. So I snagged a couple for my kids. That was really nice. They were excited about that. Man. Had to come home with the gifts,
Well,
especially for the wives. Did you get anything? My wife was here all week with the kids, solo parenting it, and so I was trying to grab some stuff. So that's why she got the Foxtail socks, even though they're awesome. Maybe I can talk Picard into sending me more.
Yeah, I'm sure he would do that. Picard, our addresses, I think. Well, I know we're gonna get into our experience at Editions.dev a bit more later, but I will say one personal anecdote since we're talking about our personal lives, because that's what we like to do to scare away most of our audience before we get into the good stuff.
We do the chapters; they can hop ahead.
No one does that. Have you ever done that?
Yeah, all the time.
Really?
Oh. Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, this is an example of something I brought back and a parenting fail. So I brought back a lot of, how should we say, snacks. They have a lot of food there, and so every time I went to get myself a snack, I'd get 2 for my kids. And so by the end of it, I had a pretty good load. That was my gift. The other night, my 3-year-old is wanting a snack. And at this point, we've eaten most of it. It's been 2 weeks. but there was a bag of gummies. It's like, you can have these gummies, bud.
Ooh.
So I open them up, and they're these heart-shaped, cute little gummies, and he eats one, and I'm at the kitchen doing something. He's at the table behind me, so I'm not looking at him. I don't hear anything, but suddenly I look back, and his face, it's just this pained expression, and he's like doing kind of this. He's starting to melt down in the chair. I'm like, buddy, what's going on? Like, I can't tell. Is he pretending or playing or what's going on? And what I realized is I took one of those gummies and I ate it. They're pepper infused. They're super spicy.
No.
So he was like having this mind freak out kind of thing. Like, what did I put in my mouth? Yeah.
He's like,
so
never gonna eat a gummy again. Well, that's,
so we're getting
you
him all
took
the
way too long
water
to land that story. I was worried he was
and the
choking
milk.
or something. Oh my gosh. That's
And then we
okay.
got, well, I'm not
Pepper.
done landing it.
All
He's
right,
up interrupting me. So we did the water, did the milk, and then I felt so bad as a parent. I just got him a big bowl of ice cream, so I bought ice cream. And so, by the end of it, he's actually on a net positive. But as a parent, I just felt like,
right.
Who puts gummies and doesn't say anything on the package about these being like super hot?
Where did you got them from Editions.dev? I don't even know what gummies you're talking about that were like spicy. I avoid gummies. I don't like anything that gets stuck in my teeth though, so I will not eat gummies. So
I'm sure they were pepper, not cannabis or something. That would have been terrible.
That would have been...
Anyway,
that would not have been good. Well, I'm glad that he's okay. Yeah, way to go, Karl. Way to.
Thanks.
How did those cookies hold up? Did you get a bunch? Did you get a bunch of those cookies?
Okay, no, I should have though. I ate one and I brought two home. And they're like except that was Friday. I flew home Saturday. By the time I got home, like the package they were in, that little baggie they gave you to put the cookies in, was totally like see-through. There's so much grease had been absorbed. It's like, these aren't going to be any good, but they were delicious.
I was gonna. Oh, they were so good.
The kids loved them. I should have taken more.
They
what were they called again?
Yeah. It was a
Craig's
person's
cookies.
name. It was something like that, like Craig's cookies or something. Yeah.
Oh,
it was
man.
a person's name. I don't
if
remember
that name is the right one, Craig. Big fan. I wasn't expecting much, to be honest, and I was impressed. So.
Well, I'm glad they kept.
It was worth the trip for the cookies.
For the cookies. That's the only reason I go to conferences. Will there be cookies and not spicy gummies?
But, like you alluded to, it's been a couple weeks since we've been back. So, like, what's been going on in your personal life? Let's talk about you for a minute. I could talk about food all day.
Oh, man. Me. Okay. Yeah. Personal life, just adjusting to, returning to work after taking some time off. I was able to actually take quite a bit of time off. I staged that quite a bit with, like, clients and stuff. And so, like, that was really nice to be able to do.
So you consider that time off?
You still have catch up. Oh, yeah. 100%.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it was work, like, right? Like, it's for all of us freelancers and solo operators, agency people, it's a write-off, right? So it's free, right? Like,
yeah,
that's what we're saying. It's free.
Yeah, that's how that works.
It was work, but like, it was like if I'm not working, I get paid to sling divs, right? So like if I'm not doing that, then I'm not making money necessarily. So yeah, I heard somebody say that. I was like, I'm gonna try to work that into a sentence at some point.
It was very nice. Very
was
subtle.
It good? Was it cool?
Oh,
it was bad. We're probably
perfectly cromulent.
So adjusting a little bit to that, but like my kids are both in softball and baseball. My daughter's playing softball right now, and then baseball. So this is also a wonderful thing from a personal standpoint. If you're a parent and you've done all the kids' sports things, softball and baseball is where it's at, man. Like we've done soccer. Like they're playing in the rain and all this weather, whatever kind of type thing, and it's cold in spring soccer, and so kids are out there shivering. No one wants to be there. Baseball and softball, if it rains even a little bit, they're kicking everyone off the field. They're like, everybody go home. We don't want the field to get messed up. Like the weather's finally nice. Like the kids are having fun. It's like a nice pace. Like I love softball, baseball, but it's all during the week, so you have your weekends free. It's just where it's at. The absolute bee's knees for parenting sports time.
You heard it here, folks. The Div Slinger recommends you take up baseball.
His bee's knees stamp of approval here.
Yep.
So anyways, that's primarily what I've been doing from a personal standpoint. It's just been like working, catching up with a lot of that stuff, just because I missed I missed a couple of games when I was at Editions.dev, which that was kind of painful. And so my kids like don't really care all that much, but I was
I'll never forgive you.
Pretty sad about it, right? Like, and so I think my daughter's only said something one time about like, you weren't at my first couple of games, but it's fine now. I've been to the rest of them since then. So that's been a lot of fun. And then, yeah, personally, other than that, Getting ready here this weekend. We're recording is Father's Day weekend, so happy Father's Day, Carl.
That's right. Thank you.
Getting
Happy
ready to go
Father's Day
camping
to
for the
you.
first time this season, so
Well, I
I'm
was going to
very
ask you
excited
about
about
this
this. I'm
camping
very
thing. Yeah.
excited.
So,
Yeah.
are you a camper by trade, or is this your wife's doing? The sock
No, I love
queen,
camping.
or
My wife does not love camping. My wife is we go my version of what we could consider, what is it, glamping, that glamorous camping or whatever.
yes.
Like we have a blow up mattress and
Oh,
all this other stuff, you know.
that's glamping
So
to you? Oh, Taylor,
yeah, I mean,
we
you
got to
know,
talk.
it's if you're not sleeping on the ground, it's glamping, you know.
There's a whole
So
world out there that you have no awareness of. Anyway,
so
continue.
I love camping. I think it's a blast. I really enjoy it. My wife puts up with it because the kids love it. If I was like, hey, like let's go camping this weekend, she'd be like, where are you booking the hotel? You know, that's what we would be talking about. But so the kids love it. I love it. My wife puts up with it, so she's a good sport. So since it's Father's Day, that was like what I wanted to do. I wanted to go camping for a couple of nights. And so yeah, we're gonna take off tomorrow. We're gonna be heading close to your neck of the woods,
Oh boy.
down Columbus Way, and so should be a blast. We have not been to this campground before, but it comes highly recommended by other camping enthusiasts that we know. So
I think it's
excited.
5 out of 5 marshmallows.
5 out of 5 marshmallows.
Speaking of which, so I really wanted to find a way to come up and see you, and maybe, who knows, God willing, it might work. But have you heard of this thing for making s'mores? There's this new technique I want to try, where you take a Reese's peanut butter cup, unwrapped, of course, and then you slather it in that marshmallow cream that you can buy in cans, you know, that you use for certain desserts.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Which I'm not sure how you would actually apply it, but you do, and you can somehow. Then you stick the roasting fork into that, and then you
Okay.
roast that. So you end up with is like a toasty, marshmallowy outside, and then it gets warm enough on the inside, in theory, that it starts to melt the peanut butter cup a bit, and that's it.
Wow.
You put that on graham
Okay.
crackers, and you're in heaven.
We might have to try that. I have done just the Reese's peanut butter cup in lieu of, you know, the Hershey's bar or whatever kind of
Right.
type thing, and that's pretty good. But I don't know, like in my as I age here too, I can only handle so much sweet. But I bet the kids would be super jazzed about that. Anything covered in
You
marshmallow
can't handle a
everything.
peanut butter cup and marshmallow.
Well, I can't if it's too many competing things. Like so small anecdote sidetrack here.
Do
Like
we need to
we
put a
have this
disclaimer in?
local ice cream shop. They do frozen custard. You know, like
Yeah,
frozen
is it
custard.
Wits?
Okay. Yes, it's Wits. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so it's not local, really. It's a chain.
Okay. Oh, it's not. It is a chain, isn't it? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's like a mile from my house. Dangerous. I love the
man.
ice cream. Frozen custard. Good frozen custard is even better than regular ice cream even. So, but whenever we go there, I'm always just like, I want just like this one thing with like vanilla custard and then like one topping. And then they're always like, "Oh, do you want like the Buckeye Blitz or like this, that, and the other? Or do you want to add this stuff?" And I'm like, "No, I don't want any of that stuff. Like, I just want the one thing. Because if it's like even like 2 toppings or whatever, it's too sweet. It's like too rich or too sweet for me. I can't handle it anymore." And I
sorry
say
to
that
hear
as somebody who used to, I used to, crush a whole bag of Oreos and a 2 liter of Mountain Dew for a snack. You know what I mean? As opposed to now, I just can't handle it. So I don't know if I'm all sugared out or what.
Well, I'll say this: there's lots of negatives that come with aging, but that seems like a net positive. So
It does.
I'd
It is a
embrace
little
it.
bit. Yes. Yes. Yeah. So,
Way to go!
what about you, Carl?
Thanks for asking.
I'm doing all these this sports stuff with the kids. We're doing the summer camp thing. I don't know if you got that figured out or not with all those Tiger moms that were swooping in and getting all the good spots.
Yeah.
And then we're going camping this weekend. But what have you been up to since Editions.dev?
Well, thanks, Taylor. Appreciate it. The main focus that we have had is actually this was last weekend for my son's birthday. He is really blossoming as a musician and loves
Awesome.
old time music, banjo, mandolin, fiddle. He's just got a great ear. He just loves to play. So we found through Facebook, ironically, like wasn't looking, just popped up one day, which like it's one good thing Facebook has done for me, is there is a banjo camp that's not too far from where we
Oh, the
live.
one in Indiana, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Awesome.
So we sent him, and I sent my wife with him because he had to have a chaperone because it's not like a kids thing. It's just banjo
Yeah.
camp. And
Uh-huh.
so he went and had a wonderful time. And so I was going to stay
Good.
home with my daughter, who's 10, and my 3-year-old. And I thought, well, we could just sit around here and be bored, or we could go on an impromptu trip. So I took them, and we drove up to Michigan, and we stopped in Ann Arbor, and I took them to my favorite pizza place on campus there, where I went to school, called New York Pizza Depot. And my son had a nice big poop right there in the New York Pizza Depot dining room. Which, of course, being a college campus sort of place, doesn't have changing tables or anything like that. So
Yeah.
that was an adventure. But we had great pizza, walked around campus a little bit, and then we made it back to where my parents are at, back in West Michigan, and hung out with them for a couple days.
That's awesome.
And yeah, pulled out all the stops. We went swimming. They have a pool, and we went to the zoo where they have like some dinosaur exhibit. My 3-year-old loved. And my daughter did the high ropes course. They have a high ropes course. This is a Binder Park Zoo. If you're listening to this, check it out. It's actually a great zoo if you're in that area.
Nice.
And ate out a lot. Went to Harbor Freight. You know, living the dream.
All the things. Well, that's awesome, man. Yeah. That's fun. You just drove right by me and didn't even swing by, huh?
That's not right by you. Like from where we're at, we go this way.
You take 23? What do you take up?
23.
Okay. Yeah, it's a little bit of a haul from me.
Cleveland,
all right. I won't give you too hard of a time.
Thank you. What was the the parenting trick that really worked, because I'm a little concerned. You know, 3-year-old car seat, like without stops, it's about a 4-hour drive.
Yeah,
like that's a lot to think about. Obviously, my daughter was there, so she could sort of intercede for him, and she did. She did great. But the thing that really saved us was we have a Yodo. You know what a Yodo is?
Yeah. You've talked about this before. Yeah.
Probably. Can't remember.
Go ahead and explain for the other viewers that don't remember how awesome
it's like,
this is.
I'm sure every parent that's in tech is like, I wish there were some device that I could just set up so my kids could select music and listen to it and not have to give them a tablet or a computer or something, right? It's essentially what the Yodo is. So it's a little box, and it will play music through it. And you have cards that you can purchase that come preloaded with audiobooks, essentially, or you can make your own, because all the cards are NFC readers or cards with URLs, and they go out to the cloud and bring in data, and you can store it locally on the Yodo. So when you make your own, what I do is I take whatever my kid is into, which right now he's watching Land Before Time cartoon episodes. Yes. Which I didn't know that was a thing, but there's like 100 of them.
Wait, there's like a series?
Yeah, like cartoon series.
So in addition to like the 20 movies they made a series as well? Oh, that's awesome. Yep. I loved that one when I was a kid.
So I find those, I play them back on my computer, and I bought an extension that captures system audio, so I can record just the audio from them. Nice. And then I add those to the Yodo card, and so in the car, he's just for 4 hours just listening to his stories.
That is perfect. Awesome. Very cool. Yeah, that's.
I'm very pro. Before you leave.
Oh yeah, that's a big. I'm very pro. We do the whole like limit screen time and devices and all this other stuff or whatever when we're at home. But like if you're on a long trip, like man, I'm gonna give them what they need to make it through the thing. Like that's just what's gonna happen. Especially yeah.
So that was that. I also am catching up with work. Should I talk about? Well, can I transition into work now? Would that be good?
Yeah, transition.
I'm the host. I'm transitioning.
We're cruising.
Yeah. Into. We've been yabbering for like 20 minutes. Okay. So for work, right before Editions, I'm partnering with a friend of mine, Kurt Elster. You may have seen him, although he was hard to spot because he's in camouflage. And we're working at a very simple app. Our first collaboration on a public app together. And right before Editions, we got through the approval process. We were feeling pretty excited about it. And then his next step was to kind of take it to a couple of the people that he knows and get some beta testers just to kind of kick the tires. Well, they kicked, and they kicked good. And right away, we realized there was a problem. And so when I did this app's super simple. It's a free gift with purchase app. That's all it is right now. It's one setting you can essentially do, and just automates that process for the merchants. And when I was looking into doing it, I noticed that, you know what? Shopify has a native free buy X, get Y discount type that you can set up, right? Mm-hmm. So I was like, I'm going to do that. And so I was doing that. And then the beta tester revealed that actually you have to, the way it was set up is you have to buy X amount of the free gift to get the free gift. And for some reason, I know this isn't making a lot of sense, but like in all of our testing, this never came up. We never noticed it. So as I dug into like, oh, well, this seems simple. There's actually an option in the schema for that buy X, get Y discount node. If you're looking at the GraphQL admin API in the schema for it, there's a spot where you specify, okay, what products do you have to buy to get the free product, right? What are the X's?
Right.
And you can define a collection. You can define a list of products, or there was a property that said all, true or false, right? Mm-hmm. Which is what we wanted. We want any product that you put in the cart, we want to count towards this thing. Well, guess what? That doesn't work. I don't know if I'm misreading the docs or if they just left it in there or if it's coming, but that does not work.
Yeah.
So, long story short, I had to completely redo how we were discounting things, which is like the main function of the app. So, I switched from using the built-in Shopify stuff to using a function, a product discount function, which is where I wanted to go. Eventually, I was just trying to keep scope reduced.
Yeah.
And when you go that route, you have to also create a discount node that you make the owner of the function.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was great because then we could go the whole route of like attaching meta fields so that we could pass in settings to the function.
Nice. So that ended up being better. Anyways, I was curious what you did instead. So that's because like could you use also like the cart transform API to like just if it meets certain conditions set a product's price to like 0 or something kind of type thing?
Oh, probably. Didn't look into that.
I don't know. Like I might be misunderstanding that. Like I'm just curious because a lot of these like bundling apps, right? Like they like basically like you add all these things to the cart once and then you create like essentially a price that you've made up basically at this point because you can do a discount. Good conversation for Prakar.
Yeah. Well, if it's not clear to everyone by now, it should be that I'm not know what I'm doing. So I'll look into that because that could be a better way to go, and I'm okay with that. I will complain a little bit more. So I'm using Cursor, and I'm using the MCP server that Shopify provides for their GraphQL. Nice. So I'm thinking, okay, this should work. So I cannot tell you how many hours I wasted trying to get the whole passing meta fields in as settings to the function to work. Because I was, we already had the meta field set on our app installations. I just wanted to use that. And I was like, oh, sure, do this, do that, do this, do that. And then nothing was working. I was like, is this like a Shopify bug? What's going on? Finally, found some documentation that says you can't actually pass in app installation meta fields to functions. It has to be on the function owner node or something like that. To that effect, right? So it was on a wild goose chase for a couple of hours. And Cursor didn't stop me. So.
Cursor did not help point you in the right... Well, you know who we should, like I say, who would be a good person to talk to, or that we should try to get on here too at some point, like David Cameron. Yes. Functions. We tried to get Nick before, but then he got busy, and so
David would just shake his head and say, "Karl, what are you doing? Did you even read the documentation we wrote?" I did, David. I tried. There's a lot of it.
There's so
it's a little obtuse. It's a little obtuse.
Like so, functions are crazy cool. First of all, like I think they're awesome. Discounts in general, I will say, I'm gonna section these two things off. I think discounts. I hate working with discounts. Like. Just in general.
Don't discount them. There's a lot of power.
There is, but there's so many things you have to account for. It's such a complicated thing or whatever. Anytime there's discounts involved, I'm like, nope, like let's just get an app. Like I don't want to mess with it, man. Like just do an app. So like it's great that you're building one to like handle that stuff, but like functions are super cool. Functions, I think, are very very neat. And how they're doing a lot of things. They feel a little black box for me for some of the things. David Hollenbeck did a talk for us in SDA about like how to do functions, like what a theme dev needs to know, right, to like start shipping functions basically, and super helpful. Like connected so many dots for me. Like that dude is so smart, and it makes sense he's working for Shopify now. And so like that, I shipped like 2 functions after that, but like it's really like black box if you're trying to figure out like some of the like what's happening, right? Like when things break, so to speak, or whatever. And it's probably just because like I'm not like a good enough. I'm really not a good enough programmer. I'm not used to the whole like building in tests and these sorts of things, right? Like I'm used to like I'm doing everything in the client, man. So like I'm just like console logging everything, breaking stuff, fixing it, right? So I'm testing, but I'm testing like in local dev, and it's just everything's immediate. Versus like if you have a problem with a function. Like the merchant has to go and they have to like share the logs manually. It's not easy to find. And then even then, like you're just kind of like stuck with like there's no good way to call it out either. So like you just get this big giant list, right? That's just like time stamped. And it's like, is this the one? Nope. Is this the one? Nope. Right. Like, and you just have to like kind of keep going through them. So I just need to get better in general, I think, in order to like start using this like in a really powerful way for merchants that I'm working with. Otherwise, just gotta use like super easy and stuff like that just crank out some functions. I mean,
there's really no reason not to use that. Honestly, they did such a good job with that.
They did. That's why they won. I say if we start to pivot to Editions.dev, they did that Shark Tank Shopify Tank thing that Kurt was a judge on, and I say they won. Andrea with super easy won, so that was really cool.
Super nice guy, Andrea. Yes. Gotta have him on here again. He's so cool.
Yes.
Back to functions though.
Back to functions.
Back to me. Back to talking about functions.
Back to Karl.
Yeah. So well, to your point and then to my point, your point, one of the things I like about functions, and this actually relates to what I'm about to say, is they're deterministic. And so you can run any log output through a function locally and see what the result is, which is a great way of testing it. That part is pretty easy. So like validating your function's logic, making sure that it does what you expect it to do, is a pretty quick feedback loop. You can do that locally. You can feed it live logs, or you can generate a file with a log in it and mess with the data and do different things to it and just run it and see what happens. Great. The thing that I think is really slow and hard, which you alluded to, is um, the actual input queries themselves, making sure that that is working out correctly and that the data coming through is what you would expect. Because as far as I know, someone feel free to correct me. The only way you can like really test that is to run it on a store somewhere, and then you have to go back and examine the log and see what's output and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which is that part's annoying.
Yes.
One of the things that was annoying about that I discovered was, again, I don't know what I'm doing, but part of the discount is that it has like a start and end date, right, in this app. And so originally you could set that on the discount node, but for some reason I got in my head that, oh no, I got to do this in the function because I need to make sure that the function doesn't run if it's not within the time frame. So I was trying to figure out how to get that information into the function, not realizing that actually functions being deterministic, you can't really do that with functions. They can't like ask it, hey, what's the local time right now inside the function? There,
Someone
there
brought
is
that
a
up at a round table. That's interesting. I
there
was trying to
is a
figure out the use
local
case for that. That
time
sucks.
object property that you can pass in, I think from the shop in the input query. So you can get the date, but you can't get the time. And that's about all you can do. But then for my use case, like, oh, silly Carl, like the discount node itself has a start and end date that you can set, and the function will behave based on that because it's owned by the discount node. So that's an easy problem to solve. But
Okay.
in general, something good to know.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, I'm glad you got it figured out. That's cool that y'all were able to get like good feedback quickly, and then you were able to pivot too. That's awesome.
Well, I don't know. Now I'm looking at this cart transformation API you brought up. I might have to pivot again. We'll see.
Well, don't take my word for.
Well,
I
no, I
got
wouldn't do
all
that,
sorts of
right?
stuff wrong. Like I was using that to like change the name of the product, but I was actually trying to change the name of like the selected variant options, and you can't actually do that on something.
Yeah.
So like clearly I need to do a better job going over the docs or rereading stuff or whatever. I complained a little bit about. It's like, come on, I can change this product type, but I can't change like the variant, like how it's presented with the options that were selected. So
You should pay more attention to the changelog, Taylor.
I should, shouldn't I? I don't have that up everywhere, so that way I can catch all this stuff. And still
I will say
this stuff all the time.
one final thing about me. Working on this, we were beta testing, and so I felt terrible. Like I felt like I delivered a steaming pile of poo to Kurt and this client, right? Not realizing. And so I'm working really late trying to get this to be fixed because I got other work I'm doing too, right? It's not just all time to work on this app. And I think I finally got it, and we're still improving it, but it's back out there. And then I don't know what people's experiences with writing apps. What I am finding is that I just find GraphQL and working with that to be very cumbersome, and it's not
Sure.
the construction of the query as much anymore either, because the shop dev assistant actually does a pretty good job of getting you most of the way there, if not all the way there. But it's just the from a systems architecture standpoint, figuring out a way to approach queries that is standardized, and the way you deal with like different return values and errors and success and all that kind of stuff, and then working with them easily. Like you want to do things like, I want to see this thing, but the only way I can see this thing is to like do a query. And so if I'm working locally, just trying to get some value out of it, like now I got to figure out, okay, what query am I reaching for and set it up, or if I have a class, I can instantiate it and deal with it. But it's just, I find it awkward and don't like it.
Yeah. Well, it is such a different, like, it's such a different shift, right? From like REST, and so.
Well, not that REST was perfect either, because it's still a network call, but it just seems
100%.
easier because you can just quickly like, oh, I'll just, and then I get my thing, right? GraphQL is like, I can't just do that. I have to find a pre-constructed query somewhere or use a GraphQL or something like that.
Yep.
There's got to be a tool sitting there, a business case, Taylor. We could be billionaires if I could figure this out. We'll get there after the show.
We'll get there. Yeah. After the show, we'll hash this out.
So that's my work update. Still banging away at that.
Nice.
Do you have anything work-wise you want to talk about, or should we get into Editions?
let's get into Editions, since it's, I mean, it's kind of work related, right? Like to some degree or whatever. So my work.
I thought it was work related. You seem to think it was a vacation.
Well, I know
But
you said it was work related, so I mean, it kind of was. Like you're going and you're seeing like a bunch of friends and people, that you only have met and talked to online or saw at last year's editions that you were not at. So I'm really glad that you came to this year's editions.
I'm gonna make a mark right here.
That's
This is when we start talking about editions. There we go. Taylor wanted to make marks. I said, I'll make the marks this day, Taylor. You just keep your dirty hands off the keyboard.
yes. So
No one wants
that
to hear
you
that
don't-
clacking.
I say you don't want to on the Shopify keyboard, that glorious thock sound. That's the term, thock?
Thought?
Thocking? But you don't call it clacking or clicking. You don't call it thocking. Like no one says that, right? Maybe they do. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Whatever Div Singer wants to call it. Div Singer can call it whatever he wants.
That's I don't know. Anyways, so Editions.dev. For me, I got in earlier than you did.
Yeah, what's up with that?
Yeah, well, so last year everybody talked about this like really awesome event. I think they called it pre-editions last year. This year it was called Techtonic. So it was hosted by the guys over at Mantle, and everybody was just talking about like how amazing it was. So they gave out swag, got the hat, and they had these.
Can't not see that hat.
They did a cool job too with their little lanyard things. Like it's actually like this like clear thing that's on here, and this comes behind to make it actually readable. I didn't see it until after, but they also had like a little note in this bag that was like, "Oh, this can also double as a luggage tag if you want to use it for that." And I was like, "Oh, that's kind of clever. Good job, guys. Y'all are multi-purpose and stuff here. That's cool." They also had these little things you could add, little charms. I don't know. I'm gonna give it to my daughter.
Do you have any charms?
I did. Like it's based on like what you do for stores. Like if you write code, I don't know if you can see this, like these little tiles or whatever. And so I think it was just kind of like a conversation starter for people or whatever. Not that they needed help. Like there was just tons of people there. Everybody was just interacting and engaging. It was really, really cool. But they did kind of the same kind of like setup or model, I guess, that like Editions did to some degree, of like they had this, like pre-party the night before kind of type thing. And then the next day was the actual actual event where they had like speakers and all this other stuff and what have you kind of type thing. And so, as far as, like how that went, it was really, really, really impressive. The folks over at Mantle, a lot of them are like ex-Shopify people anyways. And so like, I think that's just, and they brought like that kind of like caliber or level to like all this stuff as well. And so the pre-event was really great with the party. It was just like hanging out with people. I'm an old man apparently, because everywhere I went, I feel like the music was too loud. You couldn't like hear people,
No, I have a theory. I think
like,
most people think that they're too afraid to say it because they don't want to be seen as like anti-party. But it's obnoxious. Let's be honest. No one likes that. No. I'm willing to go on a hill on this one. No one likes music that loud.
Well, I think I put that in my little feedback thing or whatever. So I'm really sorry to the Mantle guys, or whatever. Like Blair, like you guys obviously crushed it. They're very, very good at what they do. I feel like they do a good job just like keeping track of everything in the Shopify dev space, right? They seem to be like just super on point with all this stuff. Blair and Jordan were the two over at Mantle. They're the guys. They ran the event, they run Mantle and stuff, and so like they did such an awesome job. It was very good. The speakers during the event were great. The food was phenomenal. All the things that you would want, there was like room the food in all the spaces. Oh, Karl, I can't tell you about the food. You're gonna be so sad that you missed this. You're gonna be so sad. Well, it was really funny. This is semi-related. I'm gonna lead into this, okay? So sure. I have to preface this with this because you're like, where are you going with this? So my wife is such a planner, okay, and way more so than I am. If you think I'm any version of a planner, like my wife is like that to like the nth degree here. And so like before I went to Editions, she's like, hey, like there's this Walmart delivery thing. So when you need groceries, I got this Airbnb with Brendan Quigley. Brendan is awesome. Dude was a phenomenal roomie to have. And so she was like, hey, when you get to the Airbnb, if you want to get some groceries, I went ahead and like signed you up for a week of this, and I also preloaded the cart. So like you just have to like show up and hit like buy when you get there, because you can't buy it for the Canadian Walmart if you're in the US. Like they're doing some IP checking or whatever kind of type thing. So we get there, get some groceries. Awesome. Made some breakfast. But then we go to this Techtonic event. They had this whole sweet breakfast set up, Carl. Like, it was just like all these different like sandwiches. They even had these little like baskets, you could take with you, and just like walk down the line. And
What?
I don't even know what these things were. Some kind of like pastry, like so good. That was great. Then they did lunch. Lunch was tacos from this like really awesome taco place.
Taco Bell?
No, El Catrine. We'd ran into Blair the night before this party started. We were over in the area. We'd got in, several of us, and he was like, "This place has the best tacos. So as long as you don't mind getting tacos for dinner the night before and then having it for lunch the next day," he's like, "This is like the best. These are the best tacos ever," and they were phenomenal.
What makes a taco phenomenal? I don't mean to digress, but I'm curious about this.
Great fresh ingredients. I don't know. And I don't like to get like just the traditional like beef or chicken whenever I can, right? Like I'm like, oh, y'all have shrimp tacos, you have like fish tacos, like give me that stuff, And so they put this like slaw on like the fish tacos. It was like this giant piece of like fried cod kind of type thing that was like just falling out of this tiny tortilla shell that they had for it or whatever. Just very good. So really liked that. As far as like the food, obviously, I'm sure there was other food and stuff there too, but I was just like super jazzed about that stuff. And so, but yeah, that was obviously great. Food was great. Event was great. The space they had it. I really liked the area. It was in the distillery district in Toronto. And so it just had like, it was just this nice layout, like brick buildings and walkways kind of type space. But like all of the talks were kind of like in these different buildings. It was just really well set up. Like it was easy to get to stuff. There was ample room for people in there. I think a couple people sometimes were in like a standing room only situation in some of the talks or whatever. But for the most part, like there was plenty of room. So, and this is obviously a much smaller event than Editions.dev. I don't remember what they capped it at, but it was great. It was really phenomenal. Speakers were all awesome. Prakar gave a talk there, so you missed Prakar's talk.
I missed two of Prakar's talks.
You missed both? Wow, I made it to both. Wow, some friend you are. Then that was the whole reason I got up to the event early, just so that way I could listen to his talk.
Oh, shut up.
So, and Ann Thomas also gave a really great talk on AI as well that I really enjoyed. Mohammed from Gadget also gave a talk. That was really good too. I really liked that. I'm going to have to ask him again because I have already forgotten this term. And I even wrote it down somewhere, but I can't find where I wrote it down. He was just talking about almost like these accidental like AI developers kind of type thing or whatever that are happening because merchants have, AI accessible to them now in jobs that a lot of professionals would pass over. Like these people are just kind of becoming accidental developers with AI, like prompting and building these small apps that they don't really need a developer for. He had a really cool term for it that I liked. I cannot recall it for the life of me, so we're gonna have to ask him
next
about
week.
that.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to ask him about that when we record and stuff. And so, but yeah, so they were all really great talks. I know I'm forgetting people. I didn't get to sit on Kunal's. He's another guy in the ecosystem. It's really cool, really smart with Shopify app, like kind of like marketing and all the operations kind of type stuff. Whatever, really smart guy for all that stuff. So looking forward to hearing that because I think they're going to do hopefully some of those talks, maybe, but like they're going to release some of them. I don't know.
So did you find you were actually able to glean technical information from those talks? Like the environment was conducive to that? Because I struggle at conferences sometimes. I feel like I get stuff from the actual talks themselves.
No, I think it was more, so as far as like gleaning, I would say it's more about the way that I have looked at, so my background in social work, right? Like I've not been to a lot of tech conferences. Like Editions.dev last year was my first. Okay, so I have not been to a lot of these tech conferences. I'm blown away by these things. I think they're awesome.
So you weren't there in 2019 then? So sometimes I think you might have been.
Oh, see, good job. Nice bringing that in. So I did you mark that one too? Social workers have conferences. They're just like not nearly as nice. That's. Like sometimes there's food, sometimes there's not, and it's usually just hey, we're all talking about all these changes at the state level or something about how we have to incorporate new changes and stuff. So,
if you don't go to a social worker conference, do they label you as being antisocial?
Well, usually, like, your agency usually only sends like one or two people, anyways.
Yeah.
So, like, they don't have money to send like, oh, let's send the whole squad, kind of type
No,
thing.
there's
So,
not much
just a
money in
totally
that
different,
business.
yeah, like just a totally different level with tech conferences and stuff. And so, so all that is to say, you know, this all blows me away in general. But as far as like how I have approached this after, so last year I went and I was, like I said, I told the whole story about how I created this whole itinerary, right? I was going to hit all these workshops and everything. And I went to the first one. I felt like it was just a fire hose of information. I got nothing really out of it because it was so much. And then I couldn't even get into my next workshop. So my very second one, my whole plan was borked. And I felt bad about this. And then I ran into Adam Doler, who you did not run into. We had him on the podcast from Wrapped and stuff before. We were trying to find him afterwards and stuff, but we didn't get a chance to connect with him or whatever. I saw him multiple times, but so anyways, he was like, dude, just come and hang out. Like, you're not going to be able to glean a ton of information from this. Come hang out, talk with people. It's going to be fine. And so I've shifted more to that, and I use the conference talks that I sit in now more so as like introducing me to like mental models. So like in, when you're thinking about things, you're learning new things or whatever kind of type things. A lot of times you have to like challenge this notion or idea that you have everything figured out and just accept the fact that you have to build new mental models around concepts. And so that's usually what I'm looking for when I'm at a conference is I want it to introduce me to a new mental model. And then I start to approach things from that perspective. And that's been very helpful for me. As when it comes to like not trying to feel like I need to like sit there and take a ton of notes, although clearly it would have helped if I took better notes because I can't remember like that term that I thought was so cool. But that's helped me out. I don't glean a lot of like really good heavy technical information, but I do get introduced to new concepts and kind of foundations for new mental models when I'm working.
That's a really good way to approach it. That makes a lot of sense.
Why, thank you, Karl.
Oh, I didn't mean it as a compliment, but yeah. So it sounds like Techtonic was great. You
Techtonic was
got
great.
got some mental models to bring home with you.
Yes.
And some good food.
Great food.
Okay, so listen. I'm not saying it's your fault, but next year, make sure you remind me, like, hey, Karl, you might want to consider coming earlier than the day of.
Stop it. I barely got you to come the day before because the popcorn machine at the SDA event.
Which was very good. Sorry, there's a blue jay outside. What's he doing? That's my broom. Get off my broom. Ugh, birds. Anyway,
Anyways.
popcorn was good.
So you missed, I know, yeah, you conveniently skipped the 5K run that we had the morning before.
Well, my flight.
I forgot. Yeah.
My flight
yeah,
was
your
late.
flight. I did go to, so Judge.me and Zapiet had their Epic party. They were celebrating like 10 years or something like this or whatever. It was crazy. It was very crazy. This is where I started to lose my voice because, again, music's super loud. You're trying to like yell at people to talk to them and you can barely hear them. But it was a blast. Also, they also had a bunch of great food, but by then I was also so stuffed from all of the other stuff that we had been to or whatever. I could barely eat it. It looked great. I don't know that it actually was great. I couldn't eat anything at that point. So, and I'm not a drinker, so there was plenty of booze and stuff or whatever. But I don't drink alcohol just because,
Too sweet.
Absolutely, yeah, right. Yeah, nothing wrong with people that do. That's always the thing I have to say. I don't have any problems with other people that drink. Like, I just don't do it. So I'm always the sober buddy that gets you home. That's what I tell people. I'm the designated driver all time. But that was a lot of fun too. The Epic party. They did a really good job with that as well. A lot of great people were there. And that was just fun hangout kind of type thing.
Oh, that sounds great.
Yeah.
And we're still not even to Editions yet. One thing
We're
I'll
not
toss
even
in,
to Editions yet.
I might consider trying in the future. You've probably heard of these things. Have you heard of Loop or Loops? They're ear protection that
oh yes, someone was
has
telling
a
me
little
about
loop,
these.
but they're not made to like, completely block out sound necessarily. In fact, they sell different sort of variations depending on what environment you're going to be in. Some are to
Right.
help you concentrate, some are to help you sleep, which obviously block out more sound, but some are just for like, I want to attend an event that I know is going to be noisy. I just want to bring it down a bit. So I think
Yeah,
next
if it's
year,
like a concert or something, so you can hear
yeah,
people
or a loud
conversationally, but
party, yeah.
Mhm.
I think I might get some of those and try them, see if it helps. 'Cause
That's a
it
really
is just
good idea.
obnoxious after a while.
Yes, and I'm
I
not in
tried
that
using
environment
these,
a
and it
lot,
doesn't work.
you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't imagine that would work really well. Yeah, I'm not in those environments a lot. I'm not a loud music listener kind of type person in general, anyways. And so,
Yeah.
I usually like even when I'm watching TV, right? Because like we've got kids, so like the kids are in bed and you're watching TV like with the subtitles on, so you're not waking them up or whatever, So
Oh.
I don't. Yeah, I want them to sleep. So, but yeah, so then we're at the day of the Editions party. Pre-party. I don't know what they called it. Like the whatever Shopify pre-party
Oh.
was.
The DOEP.
The GOAP. I don't. The what?
Day of Editions
Day
party.
of the Editions party. Yeah, I like that better.
Thanks.
That was really cool. They had this liquid hackathon. That was really cool.
Well,
I
sorry, hold on here. I know we're getting a little long on the tooth time wise, so I don't want to keep you go longer. But you just totally skipped over the SDA meetup.
Well, I don't know. That's not like I didn't want to go too much into that since it's more. It's not that we can't go into it. It was we did an edition, SDA meetup, an Editions meetup. Trudy got us this awesome space at a little local place called Penny's, and they made these amazing sliders and tater tots, which was awesome. And so we had so much food left over. Like hardly anybody was eating because like we were all eating at all these other places, I think, still. And so
I ate.
we had I ate too, but dude, we had so much
There's so many
food
tater
left
tots
over.
one man can eat, Taylor. I
So
tried,
much tater
okay?
tots left over. I asked I hope the staff, I was like, can you, like, I was telling everyone, take food home with you or whatever, like, and we had to hit a certain like spend too. And at a certain point we were still like pretty shy. So I was telling people like, go back and get more drinks. But then everyone was like kind of like pacing themselves because we were about to go to Shopify headquarters. And last year they were decked out on everything, like food, all the things. And so everybody was kind of like, like taking it pretty easy. And so I told the lady afterwards, because we had like so many, like I think they filled up 2 tables full of food, basically, kind of type thing. And I was like, the food was great. I'm really sorry that we didn't eat more of this or whatever. But like, if I'm telling everyone to take stuff home, but like a lot of us are going to this next event after, and so people don't want to be walking around with bags of food. If like staff, y'all can take stuff, like please just take the food. Like, we're paying for it either way. Like just take stuff home. And so I don't know if it was a thing that they weren't allowed to, but she was like, if you leave it here, it'll get taken care of. And I was like, okay, great. Like I'm just going to do that then. So I hope that those people got to take the food home because it was so much. I felt so bad. Yeah. But no, that was really awesome. Yeah, we did a 5K run in the morning that you missed, and then you did show up for Penny. Right. So that was good. I'm glad that you did. And it was really cool just to see a bunch of people all in that space. We had enough room for, I think 45 was the max we could have out there. We were pretty close to capacity for that. So that was really awesome.
Oh, we lucked out too, because it was like threatening rain, and it was a little bit, but it
sprinkled, a little bit for a little while. So, but we made it out okay, thankfully. We did. They did say that they could move us inside if it started to rain, but it was a nice outdoor space. So, and I always like eating outside personally, so I'm maybe weird about that. But so then after that was the Editions party. So I don't know, like you want to start digging into, you were finally here at this point. It's been me monologuing about my experience from getting there on time for these other events, but you finally arrived in this scenario.
I did. I flew. I came. I took the train. I took several trams. Will not do that again.
We both struggled a little bit with, like, I took the link.
Well, you were confused.
I was
just having bad luck.
I was messaging about, I was confused. I was like, I took the link the wrong way, and then I had to take it back, and then I thought I was on the train, but it wasn't the train, it was just the link, and then I had to like walk to get to the train. So I finally figured it out. But you also finally made it after, like, what the tram you were on broke down or something, or
no, it went out of service. But like, it took forever to get. Like, it just took forever to get to the station initially. Then when I got on the tram, like, we're halfway to where you guys were, then they're like, "Oh, we're out of service." Mm-hmm. And no one seemed to know what was going on, so I'm asking people because I don't know what's going on. Like, is there another one? Like, that's typically what they do, right? Or is this like over? And one guy's like, "I'm gonna walk over there and try to get another thing," and like, some guy was like just screaming, like he was mentally unwell, had been on the tram. So I don't want to be stuck here with him. But anyway, it worked out. Made it to you guys. I'm gonna fast forward a little bit just for the sake of time. So I came.
Ooh.
Had a great time at Penny's with y'all. Had the popcorn. Prakar brought his gifts. Thank you, Prakar. So fun to meet everyone in real life because we've been in this community for just about a year now. And compared to previous editions I've been to, like 2019, I feel like there's a lot more people just to hang out with and get to know and just enjoy. And everyone here is super nice. So that was a lot of fun. And then I had a lot of trouble getting into my Airbnb. It was in some high rise. And I could not find the apartment number anywhere, which I should have figured this out ahead of time. So finally, I found this Google link. Said use this link to figure out how to get and it had an apartment number in the Google link. So this must be it. So I went up to the apartment, and like the little door thing isn't working. I'm like, I'm not gonna knock on this door because I don't know. I didn't have any cell reception inside this building. So I'm like, what am I gonna do? I was tired. So I finally got a hold of this guy. He's like, no, it's this apartment. It's a totally different apartment. I was like, where is this number? It gets in the instructions. I'm like, it's not in the instructions, dude. I just read all the instructions, but it was confusing. I got in. The place was super nice. And then I went and joined you guys at the party, which I didn't realize how long it would take to get in. There's quite the line by the time I got there.
There's a huge line, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why they
got in though, didn't we? Yeah. That was I kind of expected to just kind of like breeze in, so we showed up I think like at time. I can't remember if it like was 6 or something like that. I can't remember what time it was supposed to. 5 or 6. And same thing. Like I think we were outside for 15 or so minutes at least.
Yeah.
But we finally made it in.
So my impressions in the party, I know you were talking about the hackathon. Hackathon was fun. Hard to pay attention to sometimes because there's just so much going on.
Yes.
The food was great. I had a lot of popcorn. Found a dessert table somewhere way in the back. They try to do like these different themes, which are fun, but it was made it hard to navigate sometimes because there's just so much to take in. So.
Well, and they're different floors too. Like I didn't even I spent the whole time because we had a bunch of people in SDA at the hackathon, and so like I spent the whole time down there, and it was awesome. But like last year we made it out to this nice like terrace or something up or whatever, and that was really really nice. Didn't do any of that this year. We just hung out.
I didn't even know there was a terrace.
I know, like you didn't even get the whole official tour. So maybe next time it'll be for the next one. But got to meet a lot of really cool people like in person again. Like that's always really neat to see those people in person. David Warrington for one, that was really cool. Have shared a bunch of his stuff on Liquid Weekly in general, and now he also works for Shopify because he's a crazy smart guy. Have to share it's JavaScript, so I don't think you're gonna like really love that part. But he did recently share something that he was working on to help kind of build out liquid schemas with JavaScript, which is really cool. Like dude's so smart. I don't understand half this stuff or whatever that these guys are doing sometimes, and so but I'm digging into that, seeing what I need to do, because obviously if he's using it, I need to figure out what I should be doing there.
Yeah.
But actually talked to some people from his team about potentially coming on the podcast sometime too. So hopefully we can have them on at some point. He's on a really cool team at Shopify. I don't know what I can and can't talk about until we have them on. So, but we'll just leave it at that. They're really, really cool people. Really, really smart guys and gals. Sorry. When I say guys, it's the Midwest guys. It's everybody. So
yeah, it's all inclusive.
Sorry. But yeah, so the party was awesome, amazing. And so did we do anything after that? I can't remember. We probably did, but I don't know. I was probably
You guys went out. Oh, I left early and met up with a friend that just got hired on at Shopify, but isn't allowed in any of the spaces we were in.
Yeah, that was a little bit different this year. It felt like they had more strict marching orders to like not to just like stick to Summit stuff. So they always do this at the same time, or at least always, like this year and last year, they've been doing this at the same time as their annual big Shopify like in-house kind of type meeting. And so sense. Like they've got all the people there, so it's easy to pull them for like conference or for roundtables and masterclass and workshops and stuff, whatever. But this year it seemed like they did have more like, and maybe they did last year too, and I just wasn't as aware. But like I'd heard that from a couple of friends at Shopify that was just like, we're not really allowed to be doing this unless we are explicitly invited to this thing, kind of type thing. So a little bit different, but so I'm glad you got to meet up with your friend. That's really awesome. Next day, Editions.dev.
Yes.
Initial impressions. How are you? I mean, their breakfast was a little bit different. I missed last year. They did these cool little like hangouts with like different like pockets of devs. So we had like a freelancer space for Shopify devs. There was like an app space. There was a merchant dev, so like devs that work at a brand or something like this. There was some for like women in tech. So they did that last year. They didn't do this year. This year was much more like, hey, just grab something and go sit down and eat kind of type thing or whatever, which was also fine. But I did like how they set it up a little bit more last year personally. You wouldn't know if you weren't there.
Yeah, I wasn't there.
But I don't know. Initial were you satisfied with the breakfast and the snacks? Multiple snack options.
Yeah. Okay. So I arrived on foot from my walkable Airbnb, and similar to you, like I wasn't quite sure what to do at first in terms of trying to connect with people, because it's one of these things where they have this big open room with rows of tables, and you can sit down, which is great, but you're always in that mode of like, do I really want to be social now or not? And then realizing, yes, I'm here, I'm paid to be here, it's one day, I really ought to be social. And then it's like reading the room and trying to figure out, like, of these people that are sitting alone or sitting in groups, like which ones actually want to talk to somebody, because you don't want to just like show up to the guy that's working or whatever. Right? So I just went for it, met a couple random people. Eventually, like folks start to filter in. So I wasn't super impressed by the main food, either breakfast or lunch. I thought the quality wasn't as great as it had been in the past. Super grateful for it. It was delicious to eat food, but it wasn't the greatest. But the snacks, I mean, on my Editions.dev feedback form, I said, thank you for having Diet Coke. Because a lot of these places are phasing out sodas because they're not cool anymore or whatever, or not healthy, whatever. I don't know.
Okay.
Right. So they had Diet Coke and some other thing. And then thank you for the snacks.
A plethora of snacks. They did. They were like, I feel like that was like part of a roundtable at some point. They're like, Karl is coming this year, and he's going to be talking about the snacks on like a weekly podcast. And so we need to make sure he's satisfied with the amount of snacks we have here.
But similar to you, like I quite quickly gave up on like getting anything out of it from like a technical standpoint. It was more like I'm just surrounded by a bunch of people that I'm never going to see in real life again. Definitely not soon. Hopefully again, but you never know, right? Yeah. So just trying to take advantage of that and try to shake hands and get to see faces.
And dude, we both did better this year.
We did.
You because you weren't there at all last year, and you were there this year. But passing out stickers, and we actually got some recordings this year, which was really cool. I did not just carry around a whole bunch of camera equipment stuff in my backpack for no reason. So I was pretty excited
that was nice. That. I bought this $10 Amazon basic microphone, thinking I'd do some like street style interviews.
Was basic.
It crashed hard. Most of the parts fell off before I even got it to try it.
Dude, I'm gonna say it here on the podcast. Kurt Elster commented. I was setting you up for that on my setup. You were okay. I'm sorry, I jumped on it. I didn't want you to glaze over that. I told multiple people about this. Yeah. So I was like,
so it worked out really well.
Said my setup looked cool. So
you had been there. You'd go into all those cool parties that I missed, right? But you were so hoarse you couldn't talk, and so I had a perfect voice because I'm trained theatrically, and you had the perfect camera. So together we made the perfect team.
We pulled our resources there. We were able to get some good interviews. Before we start maybe segueing into that though, maybe that would have been a good segue. I'm gonna ruin it here. There were some good workshops that we missed, and I am excited for those to come out on YouTube. So
yes,
has been confirmed. The one that we were both upset about missing, but we got some good quality interviews. Was Max Stober did a talk on Horizon theme. Everybody that went to it just been singing his praises. So I'm very excited to see that when it comes out. Hopefully by the time this episode comes out, it's available, and we'll link up to it in show notes. But there were a bunch of other really good talks, that we were able to go to. I was able to go to Prakar's here at Editions.dev as well. And so you'll feel a little bit better maybe that it wasn't like just Prakar. David Cameron, Nick Wesselman were there talking about functions. And so, you probably should feel a little bad about that. They were all just answering these questions in an expert fashion and stuff like that. It was really phenomenal. You had to be there. It probably wasn't recorded, and it's once in a lifetime thing that you missed. But Jordan Hinnerman did an awesome job as well. I say
I was in that one.
You were in Jordan's because and so I feel so bad for him, dude. I just said they spelled his name wrong when he came out on stage. So Jordan won a community build award, and so they didn't spell it wrong on the build award, thankfully. But he's been crushing it with all things like GraphQL, like helping people just like in the dev community and stuff like this or whatever with like migrating over to GraphQL because he has such a good understanding of everything.
Yeah, that's be nice.
And so, but Jordan Finneren, not Finnermen. So, but yeah, felt bad, but like super glad that he won the award. That was really cool. But his talk with GraphQL was also very helpful. They did a lot of these little AMAs. I don't know what did they call them? Did they call them roundtables where you could just like ask people questions on Shopify?
They were roundtables. I didn't make it to any of those either.
Yeah. So, well, Jordan's. Was that what they called Jordan's?
Oh, is that a roundtable? I guess so.
Yeah, like that. They just had a bunch of people from product teams there for those specific APIs or what have you kind of type thing, and so they were able to like just answer questions like really quickly and stuff that people had as well, which I thought was really nice that they did that the way that they set it up. So this year, I feel like last year I tried to go to more workshops. This year I didn't go to any workshops. I just sat in on the roundtables, and then we got to sit in on an impromptu AMA as well with Vanessa Lee over Shopify catalog. So this like global product catalog, which is very cool. We're going to talk about it in the changelog in a little bit too. Just to reference that is very, I had no idea until the AMA what it even was that they were talking about.
Yeah.
They talked about like the global catalog and it was not clicking in my brain. And then as people were asking questions about it, I was like, oh, okay. Like I actually understand what's happening now. So it took me too long to land that plane, Carl.
Yeah, that roundtable with Vanessa, or that impromptu AMA.
Impromptu
really
AMA,
helpful.
Yeah. It was, yeah. Had no idea what was happening until after.
I had lots of questions about that, which we're not going to talk about now because we don't have time. But the whole AI shopping future and what that means for merchants is very, I'm sure it makes sense to someone, but not to me.
Well, yeah, it's interesting because it's kind of like a move away from just like, I think when people think Shopify, you think online storefront, and I think that's part of Shopify's plan too, to some degree, right? Is like we're not just the online storefront, we're omni-channel. Is that the term? We've got we're in all the spaces and all the places.
I think I've already mentioned Kurt, but he was there and he was also doing street style interviews, and he asked me what my thoughts were about it. So if you want to hear my candid, uncensored thoughts about that, you can find Kurt's video on YouTube as well. Unofficial Shopify podcast video.
Yeah, we'll link that up because that's it was good. It was good. Link it up. And then I did forget they did a pretty cool little back and forth with they had Toby answer questions at the beginning. That was kind of like the initial talk. Mm-hmm. So it's always interesting to hear like Toby just talk in general about stuff. So Toby and Glenn Coates. But yeah, they did. I referenced this earlier. They did a cool thing with that shop tank. Kurt was a judge for that. And then I'm trying to think how the day kind of like ended, you know?
Yeah, it kind of ended a little early, it felt like.
Yeah, it definitely felt like it could have gone on for longer. We got some interviews in that space too. That was really cool that they have those booths set up for different products. So they had some for the online storefront, they had some for like headless, they had some for POS or whatever, and then just people that work on those teams that people could just come and ask questions to directly. So, if you're trying to convince your boss next year, if you work for somebody to pay for Editions.dev, like, I don't know, like that alone feels like it's worth airfare, hotel, and price of admission, because that having direct access to people like that is huge. And they're usually just passing out their emails like it's candy too. They're like, oh yeah, email me about this later so we can talk about this more or whatever. Like, where else do you get that kind of an opportunity, you know? So very, very cool. But yeah, that was the thing. That was all the stuff.
That was Editions.
And then
that was it.
Yeah.
But what I was super impressed by, not only the conference itself, but meeting the people that were there and learning how far some folks had come to be there essentially for a day. Like, a lot of them came early.
Yeah.
That came far, right? Went to those other events. But, that's pretty crazy. The amount of investment it took, time and money for some folks from Australia and from India and from Asia. It's just blew my mind.
It took him like 3 days to get home.
I know.
Like, oh my
I flew. Well, we We both flew back to Ohio. It took me an hour and a half. It took you half a day because your wife hates you and scheduled the worst flights possible for you.
Dude,
Might want
she
to
was
talk to her about
laughing
that.
when I got home because she asked me. She was like, "So how what?" Because she had asked me. She was like, "I asked you before I booked this flight if you thought that this long layover would be a problem." And I was like, "Yeah." I mean, I just did not comprehend like what that was gonna. It really wasn't that bad. I spent the time actually just getting a bunch of photos and stuff together from Editions and trying to make that accessible, and like did a couple of things,
Yeah.
or whatever, just trying to catch up on emails and social media stuff or whatever. So I worked. I wish I would have actually got some legit client work done, but
Yeah.
that was Monday's problem.
What's crazy is that, my flight was like at 2:15. I got to the airport at 9 a.m. because I'm crazy like that. I had time to have breakfast with you, see you off. I had hang out with Kurt, see him off, wait around for 4 hours, and I still got home before you.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. That's what I definitely didn't realize is like I could have drove home faster than
Yeah.
this. Like that. Yeah. It was definitely a bad move on my part. I now know I don't fly enough to like realize like how bad a decision like that
Yeah.
was.
Especially Newark.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Yeah. So now I know.
Now you know. Anyway.
What are you gonna do? But so we did talking about all the amazing things at Editions. We got some, I think, like actual usable quality out of some of these videos that we did. I was really worried.
Yeah.
We didn't have. Kurt has this sweet setup when he's doing these little lightning talks, right, with these like little lapel type mics.
I wore one. You'll see it in the video when you watch.
Did. I did. I've already watched the video. You kidding me? I watched it when it first came out. You were super nice about saying nice things. So thank you. So, but
Can you be mean about saying nice things? I don't think that makes any sense.
I think
Anyway.
you could. You could.
Okay.
You could do it. But so anyways, our mic setup worked out just fine, I think. And after a little bit of editing, I think that the audio came out pretty good. First chance that we got to talk to Alex Abbott. So he's over Desi.app. And so he's also doing a whole bunch of other things. He's also an SDA. And we didn't peg people for that. We talked to non-SDA people too, but it just yes. happened. He was in the impromptu AMA with Vanessa Lee and stuff, and so we were able to talk to him really briefly. We're going to have him on the podcast at some point. That's going to be really good. And then after that, we got to talk to Trudy.
I like that.
Trudy McNabb, and so she obviously we're going to have her on at some point as well to.
Well, we had her on a long time ago, didn't we?
Yes, we're going to have her on to convince you and other Rails devs everywhere that they do not need to hate on JavaScript and React. And so
we did have a conversation about that. I remember this now. Yeah.
yes.
I felt misunderstood. I'm not a hater.
Oh, okay.
I'm just
okay.
A curmudgeon.
A curmudgeon. So after Trudy, we got to talk to Josiah Hubbard from over at Helium. I got this shirt from him at Techtonic that you were not at, so he was out of shirts by the time we talked to him. But so he had some cool stuff to say as well. Then we got to talk to Daniel Beck from AbleStar, and
who we had on before.
Yes, also who we've had on before. A couple other people that we just happened to run into where we were checking out some of those product areas as well was Patrick Pierre. So I think you've shared a bunch of stuff from him from like YouTube and stuff like this on Liquid Weekly.
Yeah, he just kind of caught my eye a few months ago and just kind of started producing stuff. So it was really cool to see him in person. It's kind of random too, because they're standing right next to each other. I think I recognize him from his YouTube content.
Nice.
And then of course, the first thing he says, "Oh, you're Karl. Hey, how come you haven't answered my email?" Apparently, he'd emailed me.
Oh no!
It got lost in the inbox.
Oh man. And then finally Adam Epp. So Adam is a friend of mine. He's a local Canadian, up that way. Not local to Toronto. He's still got to drive a little ways to get there or whatever. But he's Canadian, and we were in Canada, so he didn't have to fly anywhere. But Adam's a really cool guy. He's been a developer for a long time as well. Kind of transitioned out of WordPress to doing a lot of Shopify stuff or whatever. So just really nice guy. I've known Adam for years. Good friend. So I was glad that I actually got to run into him and you got to chat with him. My two friends got to meet. That's always nice. But yeah, so we'll go ahead and just roll those.
Roll tape. Hey guys, it's Liquid Weekly on the road here. Taylor's behind the camera. lost his voice from yelling at two people. This is Alex. Alex, say hello.
Hello.
We just got done with this impromptu AMA with Vanessa here at Shopify about an exciting thing called the global catalog. Shopify catalog's coming up. So what do you think?
I thought it was great.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think...
You now know what it is.
I now know what it is. I didn't know going into it what it was, but about halfway through I figured it out. And it's great. It feels like something that's going to really change how commerce works. I know every year seems like that's the theme, like changing how commerce works, but feels like a very big change in a good way. So,
would you say the thing you appreciated the most were the intelligent questions coming from the audience?
yeah, there was somebody, don't remember his name, but he looked kind of like you. But yeah, very handsome gentleman, asked a great question. Everyone was very impressed, and yeah, I need to find him after this.
What are you working on these days?
These days, I'm working on something called Desi. It is a visual builder for Shopify apps. So if you're building apps in the admin UI with Polaris, then it's an easy way to quickly scaffold apps. They're fully Polaris compliant. You can export the code in native Polaris, and yeah, a lot of times designers will design in Figma, pass it off to developers, and it's a design that you can't really translate using the Polaris components. So this kind of fixes that very early stage, but working on it, and yeah, I think it's gonna be really great.
I've used it. It's really impressive. I think it's really cool how you've come up with a tool like that. Does the recent announcement about Polaris components have any impact on what you're doing with Desi?
It does, yeah, in a good way. Because obviously every React-based app is using React components right now. But it's nice that it's unified, because for something like what I'm doing, like a designer, right now it's only apps. But I want to move into doing like checkout extensions and thank you extensions and even admin extensions. And now it's all one unified web component library. So I don't have to worry about different React libraries and getting them added and adding support for them. It's just one library. So it'll make things easier for sure.
Very good. And where do you hope to see Desi in the next, say, year to 3 years?
Year to 3 years? Well, the next year, hopefully it's done.
Like it's usable now, but it would be
it's a work in progress. But yeah, hopefully done to a point within a year, and then within 3 years, hopefully acquired.
Okay, very nice. And if people want to find out more, where would they go?
They can go to Desi.dev.
How do you spell Desi?
Dezi.
There you go.
Yeah, ChatGPT will spell it Desi, and that is not the one. So
as I heard it said here, the Canadians Dezi.
Oh, okay.
A lot of Z's.
All right.
Yeah. And one other question: what's been your favorite food item that you snacked on here at the?
Here, there was some beef jerky.
You tried the jerky?
Barbecue beef jerky. It was very good.
Was it good?
Yeah,
okay.
Surprisingly good. So
excellent. Well, there you go. Beef jerky, global markets, or catalog, and intelligent questions. Hey guys, welcome back. We're still on the road here at Liquid Weekly at Editions.dev, and I'm with Trudy McNabb, longtime fan. I met Trudy 6 years ago at Unite 2019. Taylor, who's behind the camera. You may have heard of this one. You didn't make it there. Great talk.
Yeah.
So, Trudy, how was the hackathon yesterday?
The hackathon was really fun.
Yeah?
Yeah, it was great. I came in third place overall.
Okay.
Which was, cool. I used design packs to speed up my process.
Was that helpful?
It was helpful.
Okay. Now, your app partner, Ann, was in that hackathon as well, right?
Yeah.
What place did she get?
Well, she made it to the final round, but didn't place in the final. So
you're still a little bit ahead. Sorry, Ann.
I'm surprised, honestly. I thought she would win for sure.
Yeah. So what's going on with design packs these days?
With design packs, well, it's really fun. We're already figuring out how to integrate it with Horizon, and we've made one Flex section so far with the blocks, and also bringing in the generate block into design pack. So that's really exciting. So now, a little touch of the AI in design packs already.
So give me one use case for someone who's just getting into Horizons that maybe want to reach us for design packs, and have what's one thing that you guys are going to help them do?
That's a tough one. So maybe, just a little bit higher functionality in terms of what you can do. And maybe a nice pop-up that's timed, or I'm not sure. We have 200 sections.
Yes.
And I'm starting to forget what they are.
There's a lot there to look through and to choose from, and it definitely is a big help. I know I use it on the liquidweekly.com website, which is very helpful to me. So if people want to learn more about design packs, where should they go?
Design-packs.com.
Design-packs.com.
Yes.
I love it. Thank you, Trudy. It's good to talk to you.
Yes, it's nice to you too.
Hey everyone, we're still on the road here, Liquid Weekly at Editions.dev, and I'm with Josiah Hubbard. Just bumped into him here in this dark closet that we found off the main way, and he's here with Helium to talk about some exciting things. What are you learning here at the conference?
Yeah, so I mean, I was just in the Horizon, the theme one, and I learned so much about how that new architecture works, and like I was digging around in it. I'm like, this makes sense, but like tiny little gems.
Yeah.
He was like, oh, you can do this to do that. I'm like, that's amazing.
Wow.
Like, so yeah, I won't tell you exactly what it is because it's very, it's written on my notes.
I was gonna say, do you take notes?
I did take notes.
Yeah.
And yeah, we got to talk to the B2B folks at the B2B booth and talk about our product, and we got to talk to a lot of the B2B team, and that was really, really cool for us because that's what we're focusing on right now. And it's always good to have Shopify, aware of you, but also when we have a question about roadmap, they're usually very, very good to answer those questions.
They do give a lot of access to their team here, which I think is one of the best reasons to come as a developer, especially if you have questions or strategy questions. But I noticed you've got a shirt on here.
Yeah.
Native B, decimal number 2B. Tell me about this. What's Onboard B2B, or Native B2B?
Yeah, so Onboard B2B is the name of the app.
Okay.
In the App Store, it'll say Onboard B2B : company profiles.
Okay.
So it basically lets merchants onboard B2B customers without having to interact with them until they're ready to. So we have a customer account extension with our form that is basically whatever the merchant needs from those B2B prospects, like a reseller permit, tax ID.
Oh, wow.
We let them capture that. We also let them capture anything custom because we write it to a meta field, and all that form data gets sent to a meta object. And so then even Flow can interact with that really, really easily.
Very scriptable.
Exactly. So we have form rules too. So like you add a tag to the contact. There's some location stuff that we're working on coming down the line. We just released a new feature, location self-management. So when somebody is an approved location admin on the company, they get access to, the merchant has control to turn this on and off, but by default, we allow location admins to add a contact to their company without talking to the merchant, which you might think is counterintuitive, or like maybe not desired, but a lot of merchants are like, I really don't care. We trust this business that we're working with, and they have people that need to buy, and I don't want to have them reach out to me every time to add 20 people to the company.
Right.
So then I got 20 emails in there. So this really streamlines the whole process. And we just released the location feature so that they can add actual new locations to the company as well. And it's all done by those customers.
Wow.
So it's super cool. I'm really, really excited about it.
And if people want to learn more about onboarding B2B, where would they go?
They would go to heliumdev.com/apps. And you see all of our apps because we got a lot more than just onboard. But that's the best place. Or email me, Josiah@heliumdev.com.
Okay, and final question, and probably the most important question. Of all the food and snack items here at Editions.dev, which have you tried and which is your favorite?
Okay.
Oh.
This is not necessarily a food item, but this is life right here.
Coconut water?
Coconut water.
Coconut water.
This will get you through any bad day, and it will get you through a good day as if it was the best day of your life.
As he says, go nuts for coconuts. So we'll get that a try right after this. Thanks, Josiah. I appreciate it.
Man, I appreciate that.
Hey, we're still here on the road at Editions.dev. Look, Weekly Taylor's behind the camera. Can't talk because he was yelling too much. And we're here with Daniel Beck of AbleStar. Daniel, thanks for coming to say hi to us for a moment.
Oh, yeah, sure.
How are things going at AbleStar?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
It's been a good year so far. Lots of updates. We've been dealing with the API side, but happy with how everything's progressed.
And what's your main product again? Sorry.
Besides that truck.
Yeah. Tell me about the bulk product editor app you guys do.
Yeah, so it's for managing your product inventory, at scale. If you have, 10 products, maybe you can edit them one by one, but once you get more than that, it's helpful to have an app to run sales and manage your product data.
So have you learned anything here at Editions that's been helpful to you?
Yeah, there's a few things on the roadmap that I'm excited about. There's this idea of admin intents where you can kind of like pop up a little part of the admin within a modal window, and I'm excited to see that roll out.
I was at that talk, but I missed the context a little bit. So is that something that you, as an app creator, would be able to inject into the admin view
settings, or the thing you can trigger to show up as a mobile?
So initially, it'll be something that we can trigger from our app. So if you want to add a collection, you could click on like create new collection, and it would just pop up a little window, which would be the native Shopify admin to create that collection, and then you could add the products to it right away. But it seems like in the future you can also maybe have intents between different apps or things like that. So excited to see where that goes.
They wouldn't take people out of your app context as much. It would just open a window. That'd be really cool.
Yeah. Like now, if you want to see product details, we have to open up a new tab, and all. Now it's just right there for you.
Yeah. So there's lots of cool things about Editions.dev, but of all the food you've had and the snacks you tried, what one's been your favorite?
Those cookies were
The
pretty
cookies.
good.
Were they Eric's cookies, I think they were called?
They were the ones right next
Or
to
Craig's
the
cookies?
Craig's,
Craig's cookies.
Craig was
Craig.
yeah.
What did you try?
Chocolate.
Chocolate. You gotta go out back and get a birthday cake going before they're gone. Those look pretty good too. Yeah.
I prefer the classics, but
So if people want to learn more about you or the Bulk Editor app, where should they go?
say ablestar.com or just search for Ablestar in the App Store, and reach out if you have any questions. Always happy to talk shop.
Thanks for taking a moment to talk to us, and safe travels home tomorrow.
All right, thanks.
Yep. Thanks, Sam. Hey everyone, welcome back to another On the Road with Liquid Weekly. Taylor's behind the camera. Thank you, Taylor. The coconut water is working and your voice is coming back. But look who I found here at Editions. Patrick Pierre, someone I bumped into on YouTube a few months ago. Started a new channel with Shopify developer content that I've been featuring on the newsletter, if you've seen that. And so excited to sit down and talk with him about what he's working on. So Patrick, you're just back from France not too long ago.
Yeah. I went to a wide event in Paris, Megasode's event on app development. Great event, by the way.
And he promised us he's going to come on the podcast to tell us all about it sometime in French, right?
Listen, only my mom speaks French, not me.
But you've been busy. So not only have you done the YouTube channel, but you made a career transition from, what was it, WordPress?
Yes, WordPress development.
Into Shopify. And you're working on your first app. Tell us about that.
Okay, so this is going to be good for anyone working on their first app. The best advice I can give to anybody right now is to stop overthinking. I spent maybe 2 or 3 years trying to figure out what app to build. And I met somebody at Wide Event, and he told me, stop overthinking, just put something out. So he's like, think about what you understand and just do something. But 2 things that I know very well are bundles and subscriptions. Subscriptions is very difficult. So we're going with bundles. I found an app that I liked. I could recreate it, improve the UX, do marketing a little better, and that's where we're at.
Amazing. So what's something here at Editions that's really stuck out to you so far?
What really stuck out to me was the App Store listing teardowns. So they mentioned how it's important to have a demo link when you're launching your app.
Oh, yeah.
It's important to make sure that the imagery is very distinct, not too much copy. Very similar to YouTube thumbnails, actually.
Yeah.
Super similar to that. And that was good. And also the talk on using LLMs for building apps.
Super jealous you made it in there.
Yeah. Listen, I had to talk my way in there.
Did you?
I
Imagine
did.
It's pretty crowded up there, folks.
Listen, they didn't let me in there at first. I was like, yo, just please, I came from New York.
Oh,
Let me in.
top story. Everyone feels bad for New Yorkers, so I'm surprised that worked.
Yeah, it was really good.
Good.
It was really good.
Maybe you can share with us some of that too when we get you on the show.
Of course. I guess one thing I can talk about now is to use a VS Code extension called Client. I think Toby talked about it earlier today.
Which one? Talk about Client.
Well, not officially, but I heard that Toby's a fan of Client on the side.
Yeah. Amazing. So then the most important question is, of all the snacks here at Editions.dev, which ones have you tried and which one's your favorite?
I didn't really do too much eating while I was here, but they had these, I think at lunch. What did they have? These chimichurri steak bowls.
Ooh, that's good.
Mm-hmm. That was really good.
Oh man, I had the Greek salad. I was disappointed. So next time, chimichurri steak bowl. You heard it here, folks. All right, and if people want to find out more, follow you on YouTube, because you're building a public, right? So where can they find you?
So you guys can find me at Code That Converts on YouTube. I'm also on Instagram, and I'll be on TikTok very soon as well, too. Awesome. So that's where I'll be.
All right, Patrick, good to meet you. Thanks for saying hi.
It's good to meet you as well.
Hey, welcome back to another On the Road with Liquid Weekly. Still here at Editions.dev, and look who we met, Adam Epp. And he is the kind of guy you want to run into if you are lost in the woods and need help, because he will come rescue you, show you how to migrate from the terrible, bad wastelands of WooCommerce or other places, and help you as a merchant figure out exactly what you need. So tell us a little bit more about the work you do.
Yeah, so I've been in the Shopify ecosystem for about 10 years, and over the past like 6 or 7 years, like all in, trying to get people onto the platform, whether it's migrations from other platforms, whether it's new builds or DIYers that need, they hit roadblocks or they really want to update to 2.0 or the new themes, help people walk through how an app functions, how it works, get them set up. Basically, anything they need from small updates to a turnkey full build.
And what's something from Editions that's really struck you so far?
Well, the Horizons theme structure seems pretty cool. With all the new themes that are replacing Dawn, it seems like a lot of the people I work with like the ability to do things themselves, and there was a lot of limitations before. And I was in the customer accounts workshop, so that's going to be pretty interesting for setting all that up. It's a little over my head at this point, but I'm figuring it out. Amazing.
And the most important question, in my opinion, is of all the food and snacks they have available here, and there are many, what have you tried and what is really...
I've probably had too many of those iced coffees in a can.
Oh.
And also, I really like the sweet chili mixed nut bag.
Oh,
yeah.
I've not tried those yet, so...
It was pretty good. So, too much coffee, though, for sure.
You see your hands, and you're like...
I'm doing okay.
You got it under control here still, all right. And if people want to find out more about you or follow the work you're doing, how should they do that?
I am on X/Twitter, and you can find me on Instagram at aemedia.ca is my handle. That's where I post most often, is probably on Instagram. Yeah, I'm a follower of all Taylor's work and your work, and you guys are awesome for the community.
Appreciate that. Well, nice meeting you, Adam.
Yeah, you too. Thanks.
Yep.
Wow, that was amazing. We got to meet so many cool people, and your camera setup is pretty legit. I gotta admit, for that environment, low light, very noisy.
Thank you. Yeah, I just that little setup, and then some Final Cut Pro. It's amazing what technology can do.
Yeah.
So,
and I have to say, Taylor, I really appreciate you, because I feel like in that context, like I was super excited to talk to people, but I was really struggling to like know who everybody was and to have context around stuff about what they did. But you just seemed to have it all, and so I felt like I could just be there and have fun talking, and you would just kind of help me not be an idiot, which is a lot of work. So thanks.
Well, I felt like as a person who was the Editions.dev veteran between the two of us, it was my job to be your guide in that scenario. You know, make sure that you had the best experience possible.
I'll never be important enough to have like a personal assistant or a handler or whatever, but I feel like that came pretty close to the experience.
That's what it was like. I was walking around just like recording little conversations with you or before you went up, and this is this person with this person, like this is why you should know who they are. I feel like that was me. And
I kind of liked it.
That was like me and like Prakar last year. Like, dude, it was so funny. I followed him around. Like, he was just introducing me to like Shopify people. It's like, this is somebody you want to know, like, or whatever. And I was just like, okay, like, you know. So nice. I was that for you this year. I'm glad I could be that guy.
Yeah. If the whole programming thing doesn't work out, let me know.
Yes, I'll apply to the job.
Anyway, speaking of Prakar, man, we're Prakar. If you're still working out, you should take a break, bud, because this is a long episode for you to track your progress too. So.
Yes. Stay hydrated, buddy. Yeah, well, so like there's a bunch of stuff for the changelog. We need to cover that in the next episode since we are getting a little long. I will say, how about, since we did not talk about, so Editions.dev is the event, right? But like Editions is the, twice a year, like Shopify just drops a ton of releases. And so this summer 2025 Editions dropped the week before Editions.dev. Tons of new updates. Go check that out. The website for it, as usual, is phenomenal. They had a racing game this year, which was really cool. And so
it was pretty cool.
I did see, we were just talking earlier before the podcast started rolling too here about how there was a good write-up about how they built that with web tech. And so we'll post that in the show notes as well, just because it's really cool. I had a lot of fun with it. I think it's really neat. So
I didn't play it very much, but is it?
It's
Are
good.
there like Easter eggs in it or anything?
Yes. So there are some Easter eggs. Somebody was telling me you can do like little, like the old Nintendo like cheat codes you could do before the game started or whatever that gave you stuff. Like you can
up, down, left, right.
There's a common combo in there for that as well to unlock some stuff. So, but like, yeah, it's just really well done. It's really, really cool. This is all just built in the browser, and it's very responsive. It was really cool. So go check that out. But also, obviously, all the new stuff. They've done a really great job. I feel like early on, Shopify just feels like they take a lot of feedback, and it feels like they obviously can't hit everything, but it does feel like they've made changes. Like this year, they made a lot of changes at Editions.dev to how the event was ran that I feel like it was better. They didn't cram everything into a single day event that just made it like super long and hard to keep track of everything. They kind of split up the party and then the actual thing. And so they did that, and I feel like the critique has been like these additions are just an opportunity for them to like say, hey, like this is going to get released, and then it's still 2 years later that it's going to get released kind of type thing. A lot of this stuff is stuff that's already available. It's a lot of stuff that's not just plus only, and so it's really, really good updates that I think the breakdowns for it. There's a couple of them that are opt-in, like sign up for this to like learn more kind of type thing, so definitely do that. But in general, again, kudos to the team that like cranks these out, because it's beautiful website and fun too with the game and stuff too.
Yeah, that was cool.
It was cool, Carl.
You want
to do picks?
Maybe. Yeah, we can do picks of the week. Picks of the week. Doom.
You go, because I've been talking.
It's true. I don't think I've done this one before. Thought if I have, I can't remember. But when I was in San Francisco for the Stripe Sessions conference, where I saw Mark Zuckerberg in person and Johnny Ive, but we don't need to name
fancy.
Anyway, while I was there, we was hanging out at the Sentry headquarters.
You were hanging out with
Sentry
Mark?
Not Mark Zuckerberg. Sentry. The error tracking server SaaS, yeah. And they had in the background a film playing. I was like, oh, what is that film? It looks interesting. And it turns out it was Spirited Away, which I think I've heard vaguely about in history, by Studio Ghibli. It's an anime. It's a very popular anime studio, apparently, which I'm not into anime at all. I know there's a whole like subculture around it. So I was like, oh, check it out. So I went home and I watched it. I got a DVD from the library. I really liked it. And so I looked up a list of some other ones, like where could I watch these without having to get them from the library. There's a service here in the States called HBO Max that they're all on there. So I subscribed for that. Sorry, long story short. My pick is Studio Ghibli. I'm enjoying some of their stuff. But then the funny anecdote is I got a bunch of those downloaded.
Yeah.
I downloaded like one. I was gonna go watch them on my free time at Editions.dev, like when I'm traveling.
Okay.
Well, not realizing that it's in Canada and they region lock everything, so like I could get nothing. I couldn't get on the service at all to even download stuff. So like, oh my gosh, I should have thought ahead. Anyway, Studio Ghibli, thumbs up. HBO Max.
Is that the one where for a while like they were doing a whole bunch of stuff with like AI was generating a lot of art like Ghibli style or whatever, and then they got in trouble for it kind of type thing? Okay, gotcha. Yeah. So they have like a lot of trouble for it, but... No, like they got in trouble because they were like, hey, what the heck? Like we have a very distinct
a style,
style kind of type. That is kind of the problem with AI stuff, right? Or whatever. Like at what point is it like, is this theft to some degree or whatever?
Right.
So yeah,
I'm working on Castle in the Sky right now. I've started showing it to my daughter because I wasn't sure at first. Some of them are a little weird. Like I don't want to show her weird stuff, but this one seems pretty legit, and she likes it too. So
nice, very cool. My pick of the week is going to be I totally forget what this is kind of called to some degree, so I will just explain. So the Nintendo Switch, you can actually pay an annual subscription to get access to like some of like the older games like Super Nintendo, Nintendo 64 and all this stuff. And so my son is 6, and so he's still learning to read. Like he can read like very, very basic kind of stuff, obviously, right? Like, yeah, right. And so one of the things a friend of mine had told me, like they were playing like the newer Zelda games with their kids, and it was fun. And so that's something he and I like busted out the Switch, and we're playing the Nintendo 64 version of Zelda, the Ocarina of Time. And so we're playing this game together. And so that's been a blast, just being able to do that with him. We haven't like played a whole lot. He's actually gotten really good at Mario to the point like he's like his mom. He kicks me off because I'm really bad at Mario. Like all versions of Mario, Super Nintendo, like Mario Wonder, like the new ones or whatever, like he's good enough at them. He's like, all right, Dad, like you're slowing me down, like get out of here, you know. So like, but Zelda, you know, there's a little bit of strategy involved. You gotta like look for stuff, you know, to find things. There's a really particular like order of things that you have to do, and so, but it's been helpful as well. I mentioned the reading thing because you have to talk to characters, and they describe things that are happening, and so it's actually been helpful for him to like. It's been motivating for him to like want to learn how to read because he's cool. Like, I don't know like what they're saying, and he can kind of like get most of the words, but he still needs a little bit of help. So it's something we can do together. It's encouraging him to read, and it's just fun. So Nintendo Switch and Nintendo, whatever it is for the Nintendo 64 subscription access thing. It's just neat that you can do that stuff. So yeah, that's my pick.
I still have my N64 and that game cartridge, Ocarina of Time, if you want to borrow it.
If you ever now and again you have to do one of these just to get it to work right, you know? Like,
well, I have my old Nintendo too, and unfortunately there's an issue there. It has squiggly lines in the screen, which I've heard is like the capacitors go bad after a while. And you can fix it, but...
I was going to say, you could fix capacitors, though. A little bit of soldering work.
I don't have the capacity for that. Anyway, I think we've done it.
We've done
Anything else?
I mean, there's so much stuff, but this is all we're going to cover today.
Yeah. It was like the food at Shopify Editions. Just a little too much, but delicious.
It's too much, but delicious. So yeah, break this up. We'll add chapters. You could bounce around, come back to it, whatever. You know,
the three of you that listen to this.
Yes.
Well, you've done it again. You wasted a perfectly good 3 hours listening to this episode of the Liquid Weekly Podcast. Thanks for joining myself and Taylor, and we will see you on the next one. Happy camping, Taylor, and happy hacking, everyone else.